Hi, and welcome to 5 Questions in 5 Minutes. I'm delighted to have with me today Mark Earls, author of Heard, which I have reread especially for the purpose, and very good it is too, Mark, I must say. I found it very prescient in terms of many themes you were bringing up way ahead of their time, but I guess we'll come to that in our 5 questions. Um, can I kick off with question one, which is really to get you to sum up where you're coming from with her, because there were so many brilliant big thoughts in it that at times I was just diverted by, oh, that one's amazing. I could spend hours on this. But if you had to sort of sum it up in 1 minute almost, how would you do that?
So the 1 minute pitch would be the fundamental truth about human beings that we tend to ignore in the West is that human beings are social creatures first, foremost, and last. We tend to think about individuals acting on their own and what goes on between their ears as being the most important bit to understand. That's it. Everything else follows from that.
This is a kind of follow-up to question one, in a sense. But so, and therefore mistakes are made when people go down the individualist route. Is that?
Yeah, no, I think that we assume that what matters is what happens in the individual, targeting the individual, micro-targeting. Maybe we got that when I was writing the book. Was a big thing about that.
Rereading it, what I felt was that there is a sort of implicit criticism in there of the way marketing. Well, is this a separate point or is this related? So I was reading a sort of implicit criticism of the way marketing will kind of try to create strategy and marketing out of a brand without really spending much time understanding what its founders, perhaps, or even the people at the heart of it, what their kind of core purpose and beliefs are.
So I think that's part of it. The purpose and belief is part of it, but I think that's just a tactic. The really important thing is about having a good mat. Just assuming that individuals are that level of understanding of humanity and human behavior is just wrong. It's just plain wrong, and it's Anglo-Saxon. It's dominated by cognitive psychology. Everywhere else in the world, bar the UK and North America, assumes that people are social creatures. Scandinavia, very social, very we and not me. You know, in Sweden, got this thing about lagom, which is deviance from a sort of social norms. It's very clear that you're not allowed to stand out. Yeah. And then there's Latin we recognize, right? But Africa, Asia, Latin America.
Yeah.
You know, most of the world thinks India thinks different from us. Most of the world thinks us, we, and not me first.
Because what was the phrase? Is it Ubuntu? What's the phrase in the book in Africa?
Ubuntu is it's a South African term that was used by Mandela and Tutu and the ANC guys when they in the transition from apartheid to democratic majority rule, and they use that us together. So the idea is that my well-being depends on your well-being.
Yeah.
And your well-being depends on mine. And so we have a mutuality, essentially, as the nature of humanity. And, primatologists show this is really quite obviously true.
And then that's the thing with your book, it seems to me. I get so excited by this thing that I whether it's about society or politics or just human existence, and I forget to come back to the marketing bit, which I know is a core bit in it. But let me bring the next question to that. So if all of that's the case, and we need to think more we and less I, where does that leave? Because you're quite dismissive within the book of focus groups and surveys that just go out and get the lots of I's and add them up, as it were, and don't go out and understand the psychology of the we. But how do you do? What is a better future for market research then, or a better use of those tools?
So I got into real trouble when I started talking about this stuff. I was Impact Magazine, which is the Market Research Society's in-house mag, called me public enemy number one, which I treasure. That's fantastic, right? I mean, and some of my best friends are market researchers, and I've advised market research businesses, and I'm still a big user of market research, right? So it's not that you stop it, that's too easy. But you do have to conceptually reframe it to understand how people really are. So you ask different kinds of questions. You're not asking about how you do this, why you do this, that kind of thing, which is the easy, lazy stuff from the sort of positivist early 20th century. Instead, and nor do you go, or Freudian, and go, tell me about the deep meanings of this in your personal experience. You know, that's most things in human lives aren't based on deep-rooted things. They're quite superficial. Like, oh, everyone else seems to be excited by that. I've heard there's a big train coming. Wow, you know, that's how most things in human life are sort of. Or, oh, this doesn't look very good. What do you think? Oh, so you ask different kinds of questions. You ask not about what do you or I think, but what do other people think. More importantly, what other people do.
Mm.
What's your position? There's a tool that's quite popular now in software development, in particular. I use it in other places, called an empathy map, where you start with the customer at the heart. Is what do they see? What do they hear? What do they feel? What do they say? What's their pain points and what the gains they are? So it's just draw that and talk from their perspective. We need more of that. You ask the individual about something they bought. So you actually focus on what they've done rather than the past, and talk about how they got to there and who they spoke to and what they saw. So you go back and each step, and if it's like the sort of the decision to buy something is here in the middle of a concentric circles, and then you take steps out by going back and back and back and back and back and back. And you actually discover there's been a number of conversations, and this thing hasn't been a journey, a route to market, a customer journey to a purchase decision. It's been sort of floating around and exists in this social network where somebody's boss has always had a thing about Mercedes, and you know, whilst your Fiesta is quite nice,
Mm-hmm.
A-Class came up second-hand, is brilliant, and you know, you just suddenly I found myself buying it. And we all like to pretend that we make sensible decisions, particularly about high ticket items, but we don't. We just go, yeah, it's sort of going on in this content of the networks, a swivel around us, swirling around us, and then something triggers us to just aligns everything on the day. But yeah. I would also champion new sciences, new social sciences that are not being used. And I've been allergic to the obsession with neuroscience. You can see what's going into an individual's head, as opposed to understanding the world in which people live, the social sides of ourselves, which have been underdocumented. And so sociology, archaeology, anthropology in particular. And you know, here's the thing, and it's not just marketing and advertising, and it's not just the market research world. It's our culture generally assumes that biology, neuroscience, mm-hmm. and psychology, which is sort of the, if you like, the software of the biology,
yeah,
that is enough to understand human behavior. And when you just have to work across different countries and understand it's just not like that. We may have.
I'm so pleased you said that. We've also looked internally at all sorts of neuroscience-based implicit's possibly the one I might use at some time for. But essentially that notion that wow, we can see the brain working. But I love the fact that in a sense what you're saying is no, go back to qual, go back to how you use qual, not replace it with a machine, basically, isn't it?
Totally. And those kind of social scientists make great use of very poor data sets, and we've been misled by the possibility of better and better granulated data sets.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's brilliant, isn't it? How you use the data, not how much data have you got.
Totally.
Okay, so Elvis Costello better than David Bowie? If not, why not?
Costello, master craftsman, brilliant songwriter. You know, I don't think there's been a better political song written in the last 30 years than Shipbuilding. I just think it's just, you know, just absolutely brilliant. And he was a big part of my youth. I've seen him, I don't know, 30 times over the years. Love him to pieces. But he's not Bowie, because Bowie changes everything all the time. All the time.
You were doing so well, Mark. You were doing so well, and then you just had to lose it at the last.
Sorry about that, but there we go.
Having established, in a sense, that marketing departments shouldn't kind of go and invent strategy off the back of nothing, you then, at some length in the book, go on to Dove and the Brilliant campaign, but it doesn't appear to me to be inherent in the business or the founders or anything else. It's just a brilliant marketing campaign.
Well, it is a brilliant marketing campaign, but it's also, they have made the business deliver, with the foundation and lots of educational stuff, deliver the ambition they set out.
So in a sense, they've changed the behaviour of the business.
They changed the behaviour of the business. And it also was not something they just picked off a shelf or put out of focus groups.
Mark, I'm so grateful. That is amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today. I could talk to you forever about some of this stuff. It's brilliant. I'm really grateful you gave up your time. Lovely to see you. Thank you.
Likewise. Lovely to see you too.